Good morning, Patriots. This is Real with Robo, and I've decided to go ahead and solve the problems that the black community is having and the poor podunk communities that our senators say they care about. But really, reparations, $1,000 can be spent in 2 hours given the proper motivation. And then you're left with no money, no hope, and broke.
Again.
Yeah. So my idea is this. My idea, since Democrats in Congress, I'm not saying Democrats as a whole, because Democrats are not all the same, and neither are liberals, and neither are conservatives or Republicans, because I've met some foul ones in my time. Okay? So I'm going to just say Democrats in Congress, and liberals in Congress, and socialists, Marxists, all them in Congress want to give something away for free. So I've got the perfect free plan. Take all those funds that you plan to give out as reparations. Notice I want to let the black community in on a little secret, a catch-22 that they're not telling you about reparations. They only plan to give reparations to people that are directly related to African slaves brought over during the slave period. Okay? So, like, that leaves 90% of you out. However, I don't plan to leave anybody out in my proposal. I think that they should take all those reparation funds, correct? And I think they should make community centers, free community centers, so that the women that are single moms and the men that are single dads can take their children to these free community centers and go out and get a job. Now, of course, one of the requirements, because I know the conservatives will start screaming, okay, so they could just take their children to the community centers, sit them there, and then go home and have a free day? No, that's not what I'm saying. One of the requirements to these community centers is that they actively search for a job, much like welfare in Tennessee forces you to actively search for a job. Now, these free community centers will have professionals on site to help with schooling, like tutors, professional tutors, psychiatrists, that'll help with the mental health of the children, help them learn how to control their temper and their stupid, because kids nowadays are really stupid and they need to learn how to control that. Teach them skills that may help them flourish when they become adults, i.e., skills potential of the workforce, carpentry, shop, cooking, stuff like that, to help them flourish, and have professional teachers on deck for that. Now, I think it'd be great if the community came together and had all these teachers volunteer to help with these community centers. But if it's a pay thing, I think they should get paid for it too. And I think that's where the government needs to step in, is to fund the payment of these teachers if they won't voluntarily do it. But I'm pretty sure in most communities, teachers will volunteer to help. And people with skills will volunteer to help.
Especially if they live in that community.
Yeah. And so my thing is that when the parents finally get settled in at their job and they start making more money and more money and more money, it's based on a sliding scale to where the parent can afford it. And so I'm not saying like charge them $300 a week like most community centers do, but like charge them $20, maybe $30 a week. where they can afford it. Or maybe, I don't know what, $100 a month. That'd be easily affordable, even on minimum wage in Tennessee. So, with these community centers, it will get people off welfare and help the people getting off welfare who have to go through that process of find a job, get a job, have somewhere to place their young children, and a free place, so then they're more than likely to help eventually these children when they grow older get a job, keep a job, and be in the workforce as well. Because see, I look out my window and I see what's wrong with our communities. I live in the ghetto, so I live in a poor community, and I see these kids who are old enough to stay at home with no supervision, but not old enough mentally to stay at home with no supervision, running around, smoking pot, drinking, hanging out with bad people, older kids who teach them to do drugs, sell drugs, and go into a life of crime. These community centers would give those children something to do and a way to stay out of trouble. It'll lower the crime. It'll lower the costs. It will also lower the workload of police who constantly have to catch these kids in bad situations so they could focus on big crimes and crimes that are committed by, people that are really, really bad people, instead of focusing on these kids running around acting a fool. So this will be able to take away the devil's playground. Basically, idle hands and idle minds are the devil's playgrounds. So here's the bill I want my representatives for Tennessee to propose to the floors, in the Senate, in Congress, and in the House. Take the money that's been supposedly set aside for reparations and some funds, and fund free community centers near and in poor communities. Require the people that utilize these community centers to, when they can pay on a sliding scale. Volunteered, nonprofit, whatever, to where the teachers volunteer to teach these children and help these children. Work with the pastors and the preachers of each community that is poor or failing. And that will in turn lower crime, lower drug abuse, lower drug selling, lower alcohol abuse, lower children involved in crime, and also uplift the communities, help single parents go to work without having to worry what their children are doing, and it will help the welfare system ease single parents and people on welfare back into the workforce. And if my representatives, or any representatives that hear this and think it's a good idea, would like to hear more, I would be more than happy to hash out a plan. My email address is crunchyyellowlion, 2, @gmail.com. All lowercase letters. CRUNCHYELLOWLION, 2 @gmail.com. I want to see my community flourish. I want to see people in my community flourish. And I want to see the children in my community stay out of trouble and flourish when they're adults. Thank you and have a good day. This has been Real with Robo, solving problems with Real with Robo.